Hi everybody, I'm Howard. It's Otter back there. He'll be coming in and out. And this is Otter's Retirement Corner. I want to talk today about, it's kind of an interesting topic to me. We'll see if it is for you too. Socially responsible investing and what it means as you come closer to retirement to you or in retirement, and whether that changes before and after retirement, or as you get older you find yourself less interested or more interested in this type of thing. Also called ethical investing. And what I mean by that is, there's certain people who have certain beliefs. We probably all have some sort of belief of things that we don't like in the world, or situations we're not comfortable with. And the most popular ones when people invest in, whether it's stocks or bonds, when they're looking at companies, is what business do they do, how do they do it, where do they do it, are they a socially responsible company. The biggest ones you typically hear about are people will be anti oil and gas companies, or tobacco, or firearms, or alcohol, animal factory farming, firms that use child labor in foreign countries, gambling. Those are probably the most popular ones. You can come up with others, and certainly if you have others, let me tell me about them in the comments after you subscribe and like my videos, please. So basically, people are looking for companies that align with their religious, environmental, or even political beliefs. And the question is, how important is that to you? Is making money more important than following all those beliefs, or would you be willing to give up some investment return to stay strong to those beliefs? How strong are your religious beliefs? How strong are your political views? How strong do you care about the environment? Pick any of those and ask yourself, does it matter? And I think most of you have probably asked yourself. So when we talk about we talk about ESG, which is the buzz phrase now. It's environmental, social, and governance issues. You'll hear a lot about ESG funds or companies that have ESG scores, and that's what we're talking about. And it's kind of a broad range of topics depending upon who you are and how they want to define it. And here's an interesting story. The last company I worked for was called Bank of the West. It was a very large regional banking company, headquartered in San Francisco, and covered most of the West. And they just a few months ago they were bought out by BMO Harris. So now they're more or less nationwide, but in Harris's name. I worked for them. I was part of their risk team. The bank, it was very important to them to be socially responsible. So we had ESG guidelines. And I was mostly concerned with commercial lending in most of my career in banking. And what they decided is at some point is we're not going to loan to companies who don't match our ESG principles. Now, that sounds all well and good, and their thought was, well, we'll get more customers who are aligned with our thoughts. And both retail individuals who read about that, and corporations, they'll want to deal with us because we have strong moral, social values. The problem with that is, whose ESG guidelines you're going to go by, and what are those guidelines? So to give you a couple examples that really, really stood out to me, we were looking at the environmental issues, so we said we're not going to lend to the oil companies, Exxon, Chevron. We're just not going to loan you money because our moral and social standards are too high to do that. It kind of changed to, okay, well, we'll lend you money for things not directly related to those businesses. So if you want to spend $100 million on servers, to run your computer systems, your networks, we'll loan you that money, but we won't loan you money so you can go out and buy drilling equipment. So we'll help you, but not specifically for the things that we think are bad. But on the other hand, we were one of the largest, if not the largest, lenders to agriculture in the country. And when I say agriculture, I mean also animal factory farming. So, and I actually had this conversation with the head of our ESG group. if you look at animal factory farming, that industry is more responsible for carbon release than all the cars in the country. So it's like, all right, so what are we saying here? It's all right if we produce, carbon this way, but not that way. Well, and again, that's where I get back to whose definition of ESG and how is it laid out. And that was just silly to me. The second thing was, we're not going to finance companies that are involved in certain weapons manufacturing. So, if Lockheed Martin or General Dynamics, whoever it was, Northrop, they wanted to borrow money, again, we had to check and see what are they doing, what are they producing. And the biggest no-no was cluster bombs. If you make cluster bombs, we're not doing business with you. We don't like you killing people with cluster bombs. Oh, you make laser guided missiles. Okay, that's okay. That's cool. Dumb bombs? Sure, go ahead. Jets, airplanes that drop, it didn't matter. If you kill people this way, it's okay. If you kill people that way, it's bad. And, you can say all you want about laser guided missiles will only, hit their intended targets and only kill military targets, but that doesn't happen. Civilians get killed. When wars start, civilians get killed, whether accidentally or on purpose. So again, it was just silly to me. Either take a stance and follow through on it, or don't take the stance. So my take on this is socially responsible investing is extremely difficult to do. And here's why. I looked at the largest ESG fund out there. It's an iShares fund. ESGU is the symbol for it, ESG Advisor Fund. And I looked at their top holdings. And right off the bat, you have Apple. And Apple, I've made money in Apple. A lot of people have made a lot of money in Apple. Apple is the first company you'll hear being criticized for using Chinese slave labor. And, call it what you want. It's not like, they go out and round up kids and put them in a factory and make them work for free. It's just that the working conditions, mostly at Foxconn, their contractor, are extremely horrible. They've worked on it. It's gotten a lot better. They're moving some of the manufacturing to other countries like India and Vietnam. So, they're going to work around that. But, this is the largest holding in this ESG fund. They have Amazon. Amazon has a terrible reputation for their labor issues, beyond which, they also use a tremendous amount of wood to make cardboard, to make boxes, to ship things. They use an enormous amount of fuel to have their items shipped, whether it's in their own vehicles or others. There's tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people in this country who have things shipped right to their home. Uses up a lot of fuel. They're trying to use more efficient vehicles that run on hydrogen or electricity. But a lot of that electricity is produced by oil and gas. So it's hard to do. All right, so take any issue you want and look at any company you want, and I could probably tell you, if you think you have the perfect company, here's the companies they're doing business with that are horrible. Here's their vendors that are horrible. Here's who they're selling to who are horrible. Whatever it is, it's near impossible to do, sadly. Excuse me. So, when you look at individual companies, you have that problem, whether it's stocks or bonds. You're either loaning to a company that you don't like, or you're giving money to buy stock and be an owner of a company you don't like. So if it's individual companies, certainly mutual funds are out because they just hold those companies. I'm sorry, excuse me. So then you say, okay, I'm just going to hold my money in cash. I'm going to put it in mutual funds or money market funds. Well, here's the problem. Money market funds invest in what's called commercial paper, which are loans to these exact same companies. They're 30 to 90-day loans. They roll over very quickly, but mostly bought by commercial company, mostly money lent to commercial companies. So again, you're lending to the same companies you don't like. You can put your money in a savings account, just your cash, but then it's at banks, like Bank of the West, who loan to companies that may not be so good. They're doing business with the companies you don't want to do business with, and your money, if you have it in savings accounts, is being loaned out to these companies. So again, you can't go that way. So now, what's left? Metals. Okay, gold, silver, where do you think the gold and silver comes from? It comes from mines. Who has one of the worst reputations in the world? Mining companies. Work conditions are bad. They treat their employees badly. I mean, I'm not saying they're all like that, but you can maybe find some that have good business practices, but probably not to the extent you would like. So what's left? You hold cash in a safety deposit box at a bank and earn nothing, or you put it, under your mattress and earn nothing. So there's the trade-off. How far do you go? And again, tell me in the comments. Do you consider this? Do you make sacrifices in your investment return? Because most of these funds don't return anything greater than picking companies at random. What do you do? And here's the other thing. And you can see this on YouTube all the time, but I see it day to day just talking to people. No matter what your niche is, as far as this is what bothers. I'm only concerned about the environment. I'm only concerned about. I'm not going to drive a gas car. I'm only going to drive an electric car. Whoever you tell that to will, not whoever, but many people you tell that to will immediately get insulted and defensive, maybe because they wanted to do it but aren't doing it, and they will criticize you. Do it on YouTube. If I were to tell you 6 categories of things that interest me, and even if I made them up, I would get comments criticizing me and telling me how stupid I am for following those guidelines. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's tobacco or oil or, weapons. People will defend them, and they'll get very defensive and very insulting. So understand, don't fret, all right? Invest how you want to invest to take care of your retirement, coming up to retirement or in retirement, and do the best you can. If you believe in some of these issues, do the best you can. Invest in the companies that make you comfortable. Don't invest in the companies that make you uncomfortable. I try to do that. I tried long ago to invest in companies that, really rattled me. And, there's still some I won't touch, but if I look into my mutual funds, those companies are in there. That's the other thing. I don't invest, other than Apple, I don't invest in individual companies. So do the best you can. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know, what your experience is, or suggestions or ideas you have for socially responsible investing, or if you just think it's a crock. Tell me that. I don't have to tell you to tell me that. You're going to tell me that. So thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. Bye.